Hi, my name is Kylie Phoenix and I'm from Human Happiness, and I'm here to talk to you about fears and phobias and how to actually reduce them to the point where you're not overwhelmed, you don't succumb to your fear in the sense that you don't actually participate in certain things as a result of your fear or your phobia. So imagine being able to cope with your fear of snakes, or your fear of flying, or your fear of public speaking, for instance, or just fear of heights, or with phobias, agoraphobia or something like that, to the point where you're able to actually function fairly normally around that fear. The fear will never 100% go away, but you can definitely get it to the point where it's manageable, and you'll be able to actually participate in whatever that activity may be, or being near whatever that thing is that you are afraid of being near. So the answer to this is definitely not just being brave, or exposure therapy to the thing that you're afraid of, so that you can just get over it. Exposure therapy definitely has a place, and it could play a role further down the track once you've actually removed the programs associated with that fear. So the real key is actually finding the reason, analysing the reason, searching for the reason why you have those fears in the first place. And they're not going to jump out at you, they're going to be very much locked in your subconscious, which is why people sometimes live their whole lives with these deep, paralysing fears, and don't seem to be able to move away from them, because they don't really know why they're there. Sometimes they seem really irrational. They seem like they have no particular rhyme or reason as to why you have that fear. Okay, a lot of fears and phobias come from past lives. Okay, so if you're like, okay, I'm really afraid of needles, but I don't know why. I've never had a really particularly bad experience of needles, any more or less than any other individual. Why am I afraid of needles? There's actually a previous video that I did a few years ago about this particular topic, if you want to go through the YouTube channel and check that out. But a fear of needles is essentially a fear of penetration of skin causing death. Okay, you might be like, whoa, that's a bit intense. Okay, but quite likely, almost 100% definite, in at least one past life, if not several, you were probably killed or died via penetration of skin. Okay, and it might have been via a needle, it might have been by a sword, or some other horrific instrument, or the teeth of an animal, or some other piercing thing that caused you to die. And so your soul has this memory that being pierced by the skin is a really, really bad idea. Okay, that's just one example. Every single fear and phobia can definitely come from a past life, and can definitely those programs associated with that can definitely be surfaced in a Ho'oponopono course when you actually focus on fears and phobias. Absolutely, you can find all of those programs and walk away at the end of the 2 days and actually know what your programs are, so you can actually remove those programs from all levels of your being using the technique of Ho'oponopono, which is really exciting. Okay, so it can also, obviously fears can come from other people that were an influence to us in our childhood. There might have been someone who was really afraid of certain things, and we just sort of picked up that energy, we picked up that fear, we copied, we mimicked that person's fear, so that could come from that. Obviously childhood traumas can create a certain type of fear. People's opinions of things or stories you've heard, it could even be from nursery rhymes. Okay, it could be from movies that you watched when you were very little, and most of the fears, as I said, are extremely irrational. They don't really make sense, and that's because you were very little when you started to have that fear, and the reasons why you had the fear didn't really make any sense, because 5-year-olds can't really come up with a rational reason as to why they are afraid of something. Of course, some of them are very legitimate and very real, okay, if they've experienced particular types of trauma. But I'm here to tell you that whatever your fear or phobia is, if it has been paralysing you, if it has been stopping you from having the freedoms and being able to explore things that you would really like to explore or experience, that there is a way to deal with this. And definitely go and watch the thing about the fear of needles if you want to get a little bit more information on that. I often show the videos on that person who had the fear of needles in the Ho'oponopono course, because it's a really good example of someone who was petrified of getting needles, and there was absolutely no way you could force this person to do it, or coerce or bribe this person into doing it in any way whatsoever. It had to be an energetic shift to get this person to go from I can't to I will. They wanted to, they really wanted to, but they just couldn't bring themselves to do it. And then after the Ho'oponopono, it's 3 sessions of Ho'oponopono on this person, they walked up, watched the needle go in. Okay, so that's the difference that you can have. You don't have to be restricted and confined and lose your freedoms because of the fear that you may be experiencing. So I hope that was helpful, and if you're really keen to have a particular Ho'oponopono course themed on phobias and fears, go into the website humanhappiness.com.au, go to the Ho'oponopono or the retreats pages, and scroll down and vote on phobias and fears in the voting page, and tell us what dates that you can do, and the more votes we get on that, obviously the more likely we will get that particular theme to come up. But even if you just want to book yourself into the next available course, learn the technique of Ho'oponopono. It may be a slightly different theme to what you were possibly after, but you'll still learn everything that you need to know about Ho'oponopono. And then when the theme of fears and phobias comes up, you can just do that tiny snippet of work to actually get your programs or the programs of somebody else around the aspect of fear and phobias. So I hope that was helpful, and I do look forward to seeing you in a course sometime soon. And thank you for listening. Bye-bye.